Let's start off with the Kenya shilling closing at 85 today. What are your thoughts on that?
I think that's a very good level. I mean, there's been positive news, especially with the release of the first tranche of the syndicated loan. So overall, you know, that's going to provide some support for the currency in the near term. But longer term, we've always thought that, you know, the currency should be trading at a much weaker level, especially just to dampen the demand we've been seeing, especially from the consumer side. When you say the currency should be trading at a much weaker level, does that mean well below 85, let's say even around 90? Yeah, I mean, if you look at the demand that we've been seeing, I mean, a lot of it is mainly for industrial goods. But a lot of it is also, if you look at non-essentials, so for example, we've seen vehicles, imports rising significantly, and other commodities in terms of imports. So we've always thought that, you know, a slightly weaker currency would help sort of improve the current account deficit. I know people will not like that very much right now, but tell me, the first $240 million of the $600 million syndicated loan coming into the country today, what does that mean? Probably nothing much, but I think on the debt market, it provides a lot of easing in terms of demand for credit from the government. So a lot of that, in terms of the additional borrowing that the government will be looking at, we're now seeking it foreign. And that means we're going to see interest rates start to come down quite sharply. They've already started coming off, and we expect that to continue. All right, I need to move on to a specific stock, Safaricom, which appeared to have been creeping upwards today. What is happening there? We've been seeing some investors positioning in. There's been a lot of, there's been generally good sentiment for the sector. The MTR rate was set at 160, which was slightly higher than what the market was expecting at 144. So generally, that provides a lot better basis for revenues for Safaricom. And then again, we have the possible reduction in spectrum fees, which starts in the month of June, with a possible backdating maybe to January, but at least for sure beginning June, which provides a bit of savings going forward for the telecommunications industry. And Safaricom has today said at a developers event in Nairobi that it will be releasing its software developers kit, making it a bit more open and allowing developers to build applications on top of it. And Longhorn Publishers debuted trading at the Nairobi Securities Exchange last week to quite a rally. How is it playing into this second week? It's still doing well. The liquidity has not been very high. It's on the alternative investment segment. So not a lot of shares in the market, but it's held up quite steadily. I mean, the multiples look quite reasonable, although last year's earnings were bumped up quite by sort of more business from Rwanda. So I think investors are a bit concerned by future growth. But on overall, I think it's held up reasonably well. The market is expecting the results of Kenya Airways rights issue tomorrow after a bit of a delay for about 1 week. How has the market been expecting and anticipating this in the performance of the stock? I mean, the share price has held up reasonably well. So apart from the results tomorrow for how the outcome of the rights issue was, there is also the full year results expected on 14th of this month. And those two combined will really impact the direction of the share price. We suspect probably at least the company would have raised a reasonable level of capital. So I think the rights issue is likely to be a success. But for the earnings, I think investors are quite jittery already. We know they've already issued a profit warning, but we don't know how bad the earnings are going to be. By how much are they going to fall? Will they go into losses? So I think that's a bit of uncertainty, but we're seeing investors holding in steady at around the price of 15.
We've got just enough time to talk about the Queen and her golden jubilee, her diamond jubilee, I should say. And I brought my crown. I'm afraid I didn't tell you to bring a crown. But the reason is because Kenya has an investor stake in the royalty. It's a place where Kate Middleton was proposed to, and there are a lot of tourism stocks that are riding on this right now.
Yeah, I mean, Kenya is already quite well known for its safari, the game reserves, and its beaches. But now we are seeing central Kenya also starting to see quite a bit of attraction, especially around the royal family. There's quite a strong connection between Kenya and Britain with that regard. And you know, obviously, you know, having an extra circuit, you know, that's going to help in terms of tourism numbers. If not immediately, I think the momentum is already starting to build, and we should see that trickling through in years to come.
Is this really just a lot of noise, and there's no real connection in terms of our tourism stocks even likely to appreciate, investors looking at those seriously?
I think there could be. I mean, we saw if you look at the other connection, I mean, Kenya with America, you know, the U.S. president, and we saw, you know, American visitors coming to Western Kenya to go and visit the place where, you know, Obama's father was actually born. So I think for Britain as well, if you look at, you know, where the Queen actually got the news that, you know, she'd, you know, from being a princess, she'd become a queen, and the continued connection between Kenya and Britain, there's actually a lot of room that we're likely to see more momentum. Obviously, whether that translates to the specific companies listed on the stock exchange is another, but on overall, I think as a country, we're going to see some benefit.